And now we come into our Oscar-winning film in the Best Animated Feature category, and the first non-Disney animated film to win the category since Rango. And the studio that is behind this winning movie comes from Sony Pictures Animation, most notably the company behind Open Season, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, Hotel Transylvania, and the Emoji Movie. Now you would think that these types of movies they made did not get nominated here. Yes, but there are two other films they made were nominated. Surf's Up in 2007, and their collaboration film with Aardman in 2012 with the Pirates Band of Misfits. But then last year, they released two films. Hotel Transylvania 3, Summer Vacation, which proves to you that Genndy Tartakovsky does not know how to make movies, and their second film was not only a movie that was involved with the duo Phil Lord and Christopher Miller as producers, with Lord also being a writer, but it turned out to be the first ever theatrically animated feature of our web-slinging superhero, and the first movie to star one of the other versions of that hero. And no, Venom doesn't count. Which in this case is the African-American one, and that is why many people consider it not also one of the best animated films of 2018, but also one of the best films of that year. And of course, it's Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Directed by Bob Persichetti, Peter Ramsey, who did the DreamWorks film Rise of the Guardians, and Rodney Rothman, this film stars a young teenager named Miles Morales, who was bitten by a radioactive spider and ended up becoming a Spider-Man. However, he did end up meeting the real Peter Parker during a fight and ended up dying from Kingpin. By the way, that's not a spoiler, that's literally the first act of the film. But then Miles meets another Peter Parker from another dimension, but he's not the only one, as 4 others ended up in Miles' universe. But that's because Kingpin lost his wife and son, and he wants to get them back in another dimension. So it's up to Miles, the other Peter, and the rest of the Spider Heroes to stop Kingpin and save their worlds while Miles gets to learn how to be a Spider-Man, and also learn how to love his family, especially his father, who was a cop. Now I have to say this. Needless to say, I keep in check. She was all bad, but nevertheless, calling it quits now, baby, I'm a wreck. Crash at my place, baby, you're a wreck. Needless to say, I keep in check. She was all bad, but nevertheless, calling it quits now, baby, I'm a wreck. Crash at my place, baby, you're a wreck. I'm sorry, I love that song, Sunflower. But this movie is incredible. It is so good here that I do see it as one of the best movies of 2018 here. I think everyone has told about their thoughts here, but I'll still give my opinion here. Let's just start with the issues here. First up, we don't get much development with the other Spider Heroes, with the exception of the other Peter and somewhat with Gwen. Kingpin and the other side villains are quite forgettable, and some jokes might be off. With all that out of the way, let's talk about how I love this film. First up, the animation is amazing. Here not also it managed to be a comic book, but also have a 2D look. This is one of the only computer animated films that has done this style, as Blue Sky Studios did that with the Peanuts movie, and it here would be amazing to see a lot more animated films doing that 2D look in 3D film, which would really help a lot of those that are acting like cartoony garbage. I've already have mentioned that enough, but... And how can I not talk about the action scenes here? They're just awesome. As for the main story, it does feel like it's acting like the story we have seen before, but it works well on how we are building up the character for Miles. With Miles' character, this shows how that this is his movie, mainly through on what he has learned from the people around him, not also with Gwen and the other Pete, but also his uncle and his father. Without the family aspect, it wouldn't have the spirit here to not also prove that he can do it, but also to care about his dad, especially one scene which I cannot spoil. But how it makes these characters memorable are the performances from Shamik Moore as Miles, Jake Johnson as the other Pete, Brian Tyree Henry as Miles' dad, Mahershala Ali as Miles' uncle, Lily Tomlin as Aunt May, and my celebrity crush, Haley Steinfeld as Gwen Stacy. I mean, heck, her character looks like her, but with blonde hair. My gosh, she's so attractive. Okay, now before I get too excited, let's just continue on. So with a great story, fantastic animation, and great characters, with the exception of a few, this film shows why people love this film. I don't even need to do recommendations here. And as always, we come into the moment on the scaling from the least to the best in my opinion. Number 5, Mirai. Great animation, but it's such a messed up film from beginning to somewhat ending. Now, I do prefer the English dub, but I'm judging it based on the main version here. Number 4, Ralph Breaks the Internet. Although it's great to see another connection between Ralph and Vanellope, but it ended up being a disappointment with some scenes being boring. Number 3, Isle of Dogs. Great use of stop motion, the execution of the story, and great main character, and a good kid performance, but the main plot is somewhat predictable, and we didn't get much development with the other characters. Number 2, Incredibles 2. Although it copies the same plot like the original and a weak plot twist villain, it's still strong enough with the role reversal and a great upgrade in the animation. The 14 years was worth the wait. And my number 1 favorite animated film of the 5, and the one that did deserve the Oscar, is, what a shock, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Despite its little flaws, it is still a great movie from beginning to end. Now, in terms of the animated feature category lineup, in my way, I would have Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, Incredibles 2, and maybe Isle of Dogs on my list, but replace Mirai and Ralph Breaks the Internet with maybe 2 other independent films like Reuben Brandt Collector and Tito and the Birds. Sure, I've not seen them, but they would have been better choices than those 2, unless I would throw a curveball and say Teen Titans Go to the Movies. Now, I did hear that next year for this category there were going to be some voting changes, but I haven't revisited from the news since I did heard it on podcast, and for next year, this might be another Disney year, probably. So with that said, we come into the end of Animated Week here, as well as the end to the Oscar reviews on the documentary, foreign language, and animated films. For those who are new, hit that subscribe button and comment down below on what your opinion on these films are. Do you think Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse deserved the win, or do you think one of the 4 should have won that? Thank you for all watching these for the past 3 weeks, and I'll see you guys for more content in the future.